Happy Valentine's Week! Let's answer a common question today, which is about when should you persist in manifesting a specific relationship, maybe sticking to wanting your ex back, or letting it go completely and focusing on a new relationship. And the answer to this might surprise you. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Lorena and I'm a somatic self-concept and manifestation coach, and I support women to shift their self-concept, embody a new identity, a new state of being long-term and sustainably, so that you can align with your soul desires and manifest anything that you want in your life. We are essentially over here on this channel bridging the gap between who you currently are and who you desire to be or become. We are shifting your identity, your self-concept. If you like this type of content, then please do subscribe to my channel and switch on the notifications as well. And if you like this video, please leave a like. Also, I also love reading your comments, and I invite you to check out the links in the description box below, because you find a bunch of free resources there, and you can also find information as to how to work with me. So this video is not going to be so much about any signs that you get to see in your relationship, which would be another angle, and let me know if you want an angle like that, if you want to go through different signs or different situations that can tell you whether you should move on or not. But this is all from a manifestation standpoint, what I'm going to be sharing with you. I will give you a bit of a perspective shift, especially at the end, so make sure you watch the whole thing. And if you are interested in my whole perspective on manifesting a specific person in general, I have a whole video about it. I have a whole video that's called, I believe it's called The Truth About Manifesting a Specific Person. And I really encourage you to watch it if that's something that you're currently attempting or desiring, because that will give you a lot of insights also. But just to preface this, the whole topic is very nuanced. Right? I cannot tell you directly whether you should persist in manifesting a specific person or whether you should let go and move on. Only you know. Only you can make that decision ultimately. But your mind, your ego, your subconscious could prevent you from seeing the truth, whatever direction the truth is. If you wanted direct insight into what you should do and you wanted more clarity on where you may be blocking yourself or what you should focus on, then I could only help you if we work together long term. So anything is possible. I do have clients who have manifested a specific person through miraculous ways. I also have clients who moved on and who had to let go of their desire of a specific person because it didn't come from the right place. And I've had the same experiences both times. I have persisted and manifested a specific person. I have also had to let someone go and move on. I am not here to tell you what you want. Only you can decide what's best for you. Only you can decide what you want to focus on and what you desire. When it comes to whether to manifest a specific person or whether to move on, I want to speak to what I like to call the cycle of hope and persistence. Now, hope can be a beautiful motivation. Hope can be the thing that gets you started. And hope can be destructive, because it can keep you stuck. It can keep you stuck on something where you're waiting around when there is no hope. When actually what would be in your best interest and your true desire would be to let go of the hope and to move into your own power. Because sometimes hope just comes from comfort. Sometimes hope just comes from attachment, and not because there's a freshness and there's a desire behind it. When you stay in hope too long, you tend to go back and forth between different states. So you might try to maintain a specific state and then you go back and forth. You go back and forth in your beliefs, you go back and forth in living. In the end, you are maybe in like a pretend world rather than actually embodying the reality that you wish to experience. It can be very destructive. Now, what I tend to do with my clients is deeper belief work and integration. So we kind of peel off the layers of the ego, of their consciousness, everything that's in the way of their true desires, so that there is not so much focus on hoping or wishing or waiting or wanting or even imagining, but more the focus is on being and becoming. And the most important thing here is to focus on yourself first and foremost. Relationships are your mirror. So you always need to start with your self-concept, and you will see in whatever relationship you're in, which can be friendships also, what your true beliefs about yourself are. So if you have someone who constantly dismisses you or who doesn't treat you right, you see how you feel about yourself, because you wouldn't be available for that if you felt differently about yourself. Now, disclaimer, this is not about manifesting your trauma or anything like that. It's just about what you're energetically available to and what you can learn from the circumstances and the people around you that you experience and that you have. Now, you will have heard I don't only call myself a manifestation coach. I primarily focus on self-concept. I focus on somatic embodiment. I focus on identity shifting. I focus on belief work and subconscious reprogramming. Not so much getting the thing, although that's a natural side effect. And this is why. This is why in my coaching program, Recreate Yourself, it's all about the self-concept, because the rest falls into place so much more naturally. Ultimately, the thread of manifestation goes through the program too, and it's ultimately the end result, but it's not the core focus, because everything is a mirror of your self-concept, especially your relationships. Now, what that means is that when your self-concept shifts, meaning you heal and integrate the parts of you that are in the way, and you make the unconscious beliefs conscious and the unconscious patterns, your true desires will rise to the surface, as will the truth about unhealthy attachments. So there might be things you discover that you don't want to see. Because when it comes to manifesting somebody specific, it can come from a healthy place and it can come from an unhealthy attachment. Which is why working on your attachment style and becoming more secure, getting clear on your attachment patterns and making new choices is so important as well, because a lot of the time, people who want to manifest a specific person and who obsessively cling on to a specific person just have a very anxious attachment style. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all based on our upbringing. And it's also not to label you or box you in, but it's still important to look at your behavior and your internal experience to see why you might be choosing the people or circumstances that you're choosing. For example, I was working with a client recently, and she was looking to manifest a relationship, not with somebody specific, but she had the tendency that when she meets somebody, she immediately attaches to them. And I suggested to her, date multiple people. And she had massive resistance to this. Now, that resistance actually came from her being preoccupied with relationships and with specific people when she meets them, which is actually a classic manifestation of anxious attachment. Because what dating multiple people will do to you when you have more of an anxious tendency is it will show you that there is abundance. It will show you that there is more than one person, that when somebody doesn't want you, it doesn't mean anything about you because there's plenty more. But if you restrict yourself, you can easier go into lack. So obviously this is not the case for everybody. It's always nuanced, but that's just an example for why sometimes people attach to a specific person. Sometimes it's just their attachment style, and once that's healed, the desire can shift also. Whether it does or it doesn't, when you focus on yourself, you get clear on what it is that you truly want and need, and you get to heal everything that is not aligned with your truest authentic self and your truest authentic desires, and you finally get to be happy and fulfilled with exactly what you get to create. I recommend you to get support. I really do recommend you, if you're struggling to release an attachment, or you're struggling to decide which way to go, or you keep going back and forth in your state, in your beliefs, in your desires, get support. A coach can really help you with gaining perspective, gaining clarity, seeing patterns, behaviors, and beliefs that you may not be able to see, because we're never as conscious as we want to be. We need to learn that, and often we learn that through other people, and we need external input. And of course, depending on their skill set, and that's what I do with my clients, they can help you integrate and embody new beliefs from which you can then create healthy manifestations. Now, here's the kicker. Whether you choose to persist in manifesting a specific person, or you choose to let go and to open yourself up for somebody new, you need to let go of this specific person either way, even if that's who you want to manifest. Basically, if you want to manifest a specific person, there's probably 3 different motivations for it, 3 different categories that you could fall into. Either you're attracted to them, you don't have a romantic relationship with them yet. Maybe they don't even know you, or your friends or you have a different relationship, like this is something new that you want to happen. Or they're your ex. You had a relationship with them and it broke apart and you want them back. Or lastly, you have a relationship with them, but it's unhealthy, it's on and off, it's maybe toxic, maybe even abusive. That means that whatever the dynamic currently is, you need to let go of it. You need to let go of how things are right now. You need to let go of the version of that person. You need to let go of the version of yourself in that relationship. And you need to let go of that version of that relationship. Essentially, you need to let go of everything connected to that relationship before you can manifest something new. Basically, when you want to manifest somebody back or you want to manifest a specific person, you need to approach it as if it was a completely new person anyway. Now that's freaking hard. And that's hard for multiple reasons. Number one, grief is hard. When you let something or someone go, you will need to grieve it. You will need to grieve a breakup. You will need to grieve a relationship. You will need to grieve that person not being in your life anymore. You will need to grieve what was and let go of it. And that is hard because that requires you to really feel it all, to not block anything out. And maybe a bit controversial, but sometimes losing someone who is still alive can be harder than losing someone who died. Now, obviously, this isn't always the case. We all have different experiences of grief. We all have different circumstances. And depending on how important a person was, experiencing a physical death or a physical loss can be a lot harder. But what I mean by this is just that when you have to treat someone as if they didn't exist anymore, as if they had died, basically, you need to completely let go. But you know they are still walking around out there. They're still living their life. That could be harder sometimes because it's harder to let go. It's harder to actually really go through the process of grieving it. This letting go is also hard because it requires you to reinvent yourself. It requires you to go through an identity rebirth. That's what I'm always doing with my clients. That's what I'm always talking about. It's that rebirth of your self-concept, right? I always say that what I teach and what I coach you through is not a quick fix. It's a sustainable solution to changing your self-concept because a part of you has to die. Because a part of you gets to die, not physically, but in your subconscious, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you are rebirthing yourself. This is your rebirth. Now, a rebirth implies death, and a death of a part of your identity or your ego might include an attachment to a person. That can be incredibly hard because we do identify with so much in our lives. And the third reason it's hard, it's because resistance will come up. You will want to go back and forth. Old patterns, behaviors, and beliefs will pop back up because that's the nature of a pattern. It's to persist. So you need to be prepared to face that resistance, and you need to have the right tools and the right support to work through it so that you actually get to start from scratch. That's essentially the whole point, right? Is that you start with a clean slate without any preconceived notions, and you manifest whatever relationship you desire from that place, from a new version of yourself, from a new self-concept. Let me know if you are currently manifesting a relationship. Share it in the comments with me. Share with me what your dream relationship looks like. I will see you again in next week's video.